Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WABAN, the movie and TV show podcast where an expert on the subject discusses things with the average viewer. I am your host, Nim, and today I am joined by Wonder Woman.
By Hera, where am I?
Hera, help him. I actually thought of that the last second. I was like, who am I going to say? And then I was like, Wonder Woman. I was thinking Hawkgirl. I was going to say Vandal Savage because he's in the last 3 episodes, but then I was like, I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't have anything interesting to say.
Yeah, no, I would have shut down at that point. Even this one, I was just like, I can't do a voice. I can't do a girl voice. What do I do?
Just say a cliche Wonder Woman line, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hera, help him. Just say that, and then, or Hera something, I don't know. Something like that. So we finished season 1 of Justice League. Watched the last 11 episodes. I know we went from talking about 15 episodes to 11, but if you want to know all about why that happened, then listen to last week's episode. We get into our little confusion we had. So anyways, starting with episode 16 and 17, which is Fury part 1 and 2. So Fury is the episodes where the villain's plan is to wipe out all men. So
right.
These are probably some of my least favorite episodes of the season, not gonna lie. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I don't know, they were decent episodes. I don't really have any complaints.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like I've just, even when I was a kid, I thought the whole plot of like there's just a virus that only affects men was just kind of really dumb and weird. I don't know. And I remember when I was younger, even I would always think like, wait, but if there's no men, how are they going to reproduce? Wait, what? And then I was like,
oh, well, I mean, that kind of stuff, like, yeah.
And it also, like, it's not only just like it affects human men, it literally affects alien men too. Because it affects John Jones, it affects Superman. Like,
I mean, Superman, I can get it because they like make him super weak anyway in the show. However, John Jones, my brain was like, oh, he's a Martian. They shapeshift. He can literally just turn into a different gender. Like, what is happening?
But also, like, Superman is from it. It's like, I don't know. It's a very specific virus that somehow not only affects males, but of like human males. It only affects anything male, even down to species from other planets.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very weird to me and contrived. Like, I don't know, just weird.
Just arbitrary big bad thing that
the
villain cooked up.
Well, and then her villain hench ladies. I was gonna say henchmen, and I was like, well, I guess the men, not the men.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The ladies, the women, they just kind of go along with it too. I'm like, all right. Okay, like she finally reveals her plan, and they're just like, okay. And you think that like Star Sapphire's a little bit against it at one point, but then she just isn't. And I'm like,
I mean, yeah, any reasonable person would hear that and be like, that doesn't make sense at all. Like,
be like, well, you're insane. Well, I'm thinking, I'm like, neither of you, like, I don't know, or have ever been in love with a man. I don't know. Maybe all 3 of them were lesbian. I don't know. I don't know these characters well enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you might miss men. Maybe. I mean, I get it. Men are terrible, but I agree. We suck.
I mean, if I would have heard the plan, I would have just been like, yeah, good for you, officer.
And they went out of their way to, like, make it seem like men are just dicks, like, in the beginning, because there's that guy who's just blocked a woman in, and he's just like, I'm not gonna move. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
Who would actually do that? What kind of real person would actually do that?
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. And there's the moment where, like, everything's on fire from everybody just keeling over. And now the girls are just fine. They like are able to clean it up. All the firefighters and the emergency units are just like, yeah, no, we got it covered. It's like,
Yeah,
what?
well,
He's good.
I mean, good for them, good for the ladies. So yeah, it's like half of their staff, half of the firefighters are just incapacitated.
Not only are like half of the people, well, probably over half the people that work in the emergency response teams gone, but all of them need to be passed through the emergency response teams, and yet they're still fine.
Yeah, I was just a little like, okay. But yeah, and then Superman obviously was the first one to get hit with it because they just have to do Superman dirty like that, where he can never do anything cool. I feel like there was there was like one moment in one of these episodes, I don't remember which one, where like Superman did do something cool for a second, where he was just like, oh, I think it's the Metamorphosis one. Like he like tries to like hit him or something, and like it doesn't do anything as Superman goes down, and he's just like, yeah, and just pushes him back, and I'm like, yeah, Superman. But
he's finally super again.
He's finally super. I don't know. I mean, it's just like interesting, I guess. I don't know. It was like this whole thing of like she just kind of goes, oh, her ship that she was on or whatever was attacked by men, and the war was started by men, whatever. She's just like, yep, all men must die. It's just okay.
There's
I don't
a
know.
relation between that and also the fact that the like the Amazonians' teachings are basically like anti-men.
Yeah, which like there was some interesting stuff there where like, you know, Hawkgirl was like, yeah, I wonder how she would have turned out this way. And Wonder Woman's like, what? We do not teach this. And she's like, yeah, well, you kind of teach to hate men, but whatever, okay. Like, we don't teach hatred. She's like, yeah, well, towards women, no, but so it's kind of like, Hawkgirl's kind of like, yeah, you know, the way you guys teach about no men is kind of led to this, you know. Just like, yeah, she's
not entirely wrong, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and there was one funny moment in here where like she said something about like men. I don't know if it was Wonder Woman or something, said something about how men, like how she's like, well, we don't even need men there, and Hawkgirl said something like, oh, you really don't need men. She's like, oh, something like, don't knock it till you try it, or something. Yep. Like just the way she said it, I was just like, that's definitely like a a nice little sex reference there. Like, no. Yeah, it's like she's like, well, men. Like, Hawkgirl definitely likes men. That's for sure. It's just that was funny though. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of. This episode is just kind of like whatever to me, I guess. I do think it's interesting that like they took the same gang from Lex Luthor's gang, right? Except they obviously there wasn't Lex Luthor or the Humanite. I mean, I would assume they're still in jail, but also instead of Cheetah, they just switched out with this ninja girl who I can't remember the name of at the moment. Just randomly. So she's just that ninja girl. Sakura or something?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's not really an important character. She's just there to be an extra villain. So it's not like... I
mean, I kind of get why you don't like this episode. It's just kind of... the arbitrary virus that doesn't make any sense.
And like... I get it's almost like they want an episode for like the female characters to shine, where it's like, oh, it's just the Hawkgirl and Wonder Woman have to work together to, you know, to take down the bad guys.
But it's also done in a way where it
but
feels...
it's also like, do you have to literally just take out the men to this extent for that to happen. Like, you could do a story with just the girls, like, but like in a more natural way. I feel like, I don't know, it just kind of felt weird. I don't know. But yeah, we can move on if you want.
Sure.
So next, after Fury Part 1 and 2, we have Legends Part 1 and 2. And so Legends is the one where they go to a different dimension, parallel dimension. And I actually quite like this episode.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It's like
comic books.
Yeah, and it's like it's a nice sort of like reference to like the old comic books and like the old style of comic books and stories, and like, you know, like it definitely feels like the Justice Guild of America definitely feels like it's almost like supposed to be like the original version of the Justice League actually in the comics, the way they were kind of, obviously with different names and stuff and different character designs a little bit, but like the style of like how it feels like it's like just classic superhero stuff. And the kid is like sitting here like, holy whatever, you know, like talking like Robin from the 60s.
Hostages, Batman or Catman. It was
Catman, yeah, exactly. I'm like, and like, I don't know, I thought that was all really fun, but also there's a really cool sort of mystery aspect to it that kind of builds in an interesting way, I thought, where it's like you start to notice stuff is off a little bit, and then it kind of gets into it, and yeah, there's even like some emotional moments in it too. Like I was kind of sad to see them go, you know, see them disappear, and Jon Stewart was like, no, and like, and then to find out that like it's actually kind of dark too in a way, because like you find out that like all of these people were essentially just enslaved in this town the whole time. It's actually, the plot of this is actually somewhat similar to WandaVision.
Oh yeah, I guess I've never watched it, but I do know the general premise of it. So I guess
it's a very similar concept, where it's like it turns out that there are real people here who are just like being trapped in this fake world, and kind of made to keep it going for one person to be happy, to make one person live in this perfect world that they want to, like whatever. It's a similar idea, except this was told in 2 episodes instead of in 9 longer episodes. It wasn't. I feel like WandaVision was too long. Not gonna lie.
I could tell by your backhanded comment.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's not horrible. I like parts of WandaVision, but it was just like at a certain point, it was almost like the show went on too long, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I never watched it, so I just kind of.
But yeah, no, this is basically a similar plot, and
I do also like. There were quite a few moments of this. When did it come out? Like 2000, or not even 2000, like 90s?
Well, this was 2000. This was like early 2000s. I don't know. I mean, I could probably look here and see exactly. It doesn't say what year this season came out.
Like, at this point, kind of old 2000 show looks back on this like 80s style comic book stuff.
Well, not even 80s, more like 50s.
Oh, okay. But it like pokes fun at it in some ways of like, yeah, no, we've advanced past this like bigotry, because there was like Hawker going, like, I'm not baking cookies, and like not being okay.
They're like,
with it.
just play along with it, and she's so mad. Like, oh, while the men have a serious discussion, let's go make cookies. Oh, and she's like, what? She's like, I'd like to stay for this I'd like to stay for the serious conversation, please.
There was even a moment where the turbine guy, or no, maybe it was the Flash parody, whatever he was called.
Yeah.
He said something to Green Lantern about being like a staple for his people, and he looked at him like with such like, oh, this is my childhood hero, and he's saying that to me.
Oh yeah.
And I found it so satisfying, just the like acknowledgement of like, yeah, that's not okay.
Oh yeah.
Especially because like this show is old too, but it's still way far past, you know, this 50 style comic book stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it was just nice. Like it was like sort of poking fun at that classic style, the classic superhero stories, but also sort of paying tribute to them at the same time. You know, I like the classic old sort of stories where it was all just villain tries to do something evil, good guys have a fun fight to stop them, and that's the story. There's nothing deeper to the story than that. It's just that's it.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where they're like admiring this like old-timey style of that media and really enjoying it, and then they go to stuff like I mentioned before of like, oh no, there's some things in here that like aren't okay anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It has that very unique balance, and what probably would happen, or probably does happen, when we just like go through and read this old stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this is like very classical and that's the word I'm looking for. When you remember something like from your childhood, like you
nostalgic.
Have that, nostalgic. Yeah. That nostalgic feel to it, but also like, oh, there were things in here that we've evolved past.
Yeah. What's actually interesting too, because there's a decent chance that a lot of the creators of the show, you know, did grow up like as kids were in that kind of time period, or like around then when those types of comic books, like in like the what would be known as the Silver Age of comics, where they were more just like innocent, cheesy fun more than anything. Like, because there's different ages of comic books. There's the Golden Age, which is like the beginning, where comic books were a lot more violent and stuff, a lot more, you know. But then there was a lot of regulation on that because they're like, kids are reading this, and then like the there's the Comics Code Authority and all that stuff came out, so then they had to be more clean. And then the Silver Age of comics happened, where everything was more like just really like wholesome, I guess, or made to be like super wholesome and fun and classic, like just some classic fun, and that's it. And then there's the Bronze Age of comics, which is more like when they started shifted into like really being more like deconstructive stories that really take themselves seriously and are more interesting. And then in like that started in like the 70s when they started shifting back. But yeah, so this definitely goes back more towards the 50s and 60s age of comics, which was the sort of Silver Age. Yeah, and it's cool because like they literally have just different characters that are clearly just rips, like based on like the other characters. Like there's the Green Guardsman is just Green Lantern, you know. I forget the Flash one's name, but there's a Speedster. There's
I was trying to think of it earlier, and I just can't. It's like I think they mentioned it once or something, or probably more. But
yeah, I actually do remember. This was an episode that I do remember a decent amount. Like when we were watching Fury, like I did not remember it as much. Like I vaguely remembered the premise, like the whole like we're gonna kill all the men thing, but like I didn't really remember that much about it beyond that, like at all. Whereas Legends, I remember quite a bit more. Maybe it's just, I guess it's just a more memorable episode.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
You're gonna remember the parts that you liked a lot more, because like
That's true.
hate Fury. If you hated it, you would have remembered it because it's a strong emotion. But like,
true. It was probably, as a kid, I was probably very indifferent about those episodes. Yeah.
Right.
Now that it did bring back some memories when I was watching it. Like not many because I literally didn't remember a lot of Fury. But like I do have a feeling like I remember not really caring about those episodes that much. Yeah, so that does make sense. But yeah, I don't know. We can move past Legends if you want. Legends was just like It was a nice story. I liked the mystery aspect. I remember watching it actually, and I for a second forgot that it was all like fake. The whole idea that it was all fake or whatever. And then as soon as like there was a hint towards it, I was like, wait. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, it was like there was like a little hint towards it at the end of the first of the 2 episodes, and then I was like, oh, I'm so excited for the second episode. Yeah, this gets really good. And then, yeah. So next is episode 20 and 21, which is A Night of Shadows, part 1 and part 2. So this is the one with the guy from the demon guy, who I cannot remember the name of at the moment.
No, I can't remember either of the names.
Oh, his demon name is Etrigan. I'm looking at it right now. Etrigan, and his human name was Jason Blood.
Ooh,
I think.
fancy.
So you may notice that the Jason Blood seemed to have already known Batman. Like he's known Batman before.
I assume
There's apparently an episode of Batman the Animated Series that he's in. So like where he first met him and stuff. So
I must have watched either one of these 2 episodes or that episode from the Batman show, like when I was really young, because for some reason that character was familiar. Yeah. And like I couldn't remember anything about it, so it must have just been something that I seen in my childhood a few times.
Yeah. It's crazy like how much you will remember things, and like, you know, years later you might not remember it right off, but like when you see it you're like, wait a minute.
Like, yeah.
I've seen that before. Yeah.
I was like trying to fit like what this, because I remembered like the structure of the demon and its like face. I'm just like, what is this? Do I remember this at all? Like, where is this coming from? And the only thing I could think of was like Abomination from Marvel. It's like, that's not it. What am I talking about?
Yeah. No, I liked it. I actually think he was a cool character. So you can kind of get, I guess one thing you notice is like that when he turns into the demon, so he's literally, I guess, combined with an actual demon. Like they're technically 2 separate, like there's the demon and then there's him, but they're combined into one being kind of. So they switch between the 2. So which is an interesting thing.
And the demon is an asshole.
Yeah, I guess when I was a kid, I didn't realize that, because I always thought that it was like, oh, he just turned into like that was just a different form that he took. But like I didn't realize, like now I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, it's like 2 separate things. Yeah.
Because at the end he says to Jean, well, like, you know, the demon is wrong about you. You pulled through and did it. And it's like, oh, they have different opinions. They're different.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like like a Jekyll and Hyde, Bruce Banner and the Hulk kind of situation, you know? So it's kind of, I think he's kind of a cool character because, like, it's sort of, I mean, obviously he's been alive on this earth for, you know, 1,000 years, or, you know, I don't know how long ago all the stuff with King Arthur lived, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, but it's sort of this idea of like he's just sort of cursed to live like this forever. And it's like maybe one day he'll find peace, but who knows? You know, it's like that kind of story I think is interesting. And like sort of cursed to battle with Morgan Le Fay forever, I guess, because like she's still out there, you know what I mean? Like she's, you know, she failed her thing that she was trying to do, but
I think his whole curse that Merlin put on him was like, you are cursed to live like this in like tandem with this demon forever until you make your mistake right and like
Yes.
put a stop to completely to Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's Morgan Le Fay, who's actually is, as far as I know, is a character from like King Arthur lore. Like she's like an evil sorceress, who's I think along with like
makes sense.
Yeah, like she's like the enemy of like Merlin, who's obviously the wizard from King Arthur lore.
Right.
King Arthur stories.
It's
So that's kind of
that they used. I mean, a random made-up character. I assume. I don't think there's a Jason Blood in Arthur stories.
Yeah, but maybe the demon Etrigan was like a real thing from something else. But yeah, that specific character.
They use these like small characters, and not like they had Merlin pop in just for context, but like no King Arthur, no Lancelot, or any of those. I think one's Percival. Right. I don't remember.
I don't remember all their names. Yeah.
Oh, Gwyneth. Ken.
Are you just trying to think of? Are you just trying to remember the names from?
The Three Knights.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just trying to remember from Monty Python, right? Yeah.
If I had remembered any of the names from Monty Python, I would have remembered from that. But no, I'm trying to remember from Sonic and the Black Knight. Which is even worse.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, but it's kind of cool how they like take all these different stories from other sort of things and kind of weave them into their lore. Yeah. So like obviously they have like the Amazonians and stuff and all that kind of stuff too. Like they have all this kind of stuff. So that's always kind of cool. And like he was cool, a cool character. And I like the beginning I like the part where Batman's just sword fighting all those knights. That was cool.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
he didn't have like any technique or plan or like device. He was just gonna straight up sword fight them all.
Well, that's one of those moments of like, it's like weird to see Batman sword fight. It just feels weird because you don't normally see Batman sword fight, but it makes sense because it's like, oh yeah, Batman knows how to. Of course, Batman knows how to sword fight. But like, it still just feels weird seeing him do it.
It's like if Batman picked up a gun and started shooting at someone. Like, wait, right. What? Like, he most certainly knows how to.
Yeah,
but he would never.
But he wouldn't. Yeah, unless it was like an essential situation where he needed it. Yeah, and then that was cool. One thing that I thought was interesting. So like they were doing this, and I guess I forgot about this, but they called the stone was called the Philosopher's Stone, and I was like, wait, Harry Potter? What? Because there's the first Harry Potter is called, well, the British version is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and they have a stone that like gives you. It has pretty much the same powers, I think, the same like. Whatever.
So the Philosopher's Stone is like this mythological thing in terms of like alchemy or philosophy or wizardry or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a very common concept in like Arthurian lore or mythical stuff.
See, I guess I didn't realize that, and like I always just I guess I didn't know that, so I always thought of it as like a Harry Potter thing because that's what
Yeah,
but I guess
it's like a ton of things that use it.
Okay, yeah. So I guess that's where J.K. Rowling got it. I was like, I didn't realize that was like a thing outside of that.
Full Metal Alchemist, it's a big thing in that as well.
Yeah. It's just interesting. One thing though that I found weird was like at the end, John Jones just kind of destroys it with his hand, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
you can just destroy it like that?
Artifacts is just crack, done.
I was like, oh. Why didn't they do that earlier? Okay.
Yeah, right?
Like, Wonder Woman had it in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they knew they weren't going to use it. Like, like...
They locked it up in the watchtower in, like, maximum security. Like, yeah, no. And the demon's like, she will be coming for it. And they just left it there.
Clearly, they were capable of destroying it. Like, if John Jones is strong enough to just break it like that, then Wonder Woman is too, right? Mm-hmm. I would assume. So, I don't know. It's just like, oh, you could just break it like that. I think he had a cool little storyline, too, of like...
Yeah, the temptation to see his family again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and him trying to come to terms with the fact that, like, no, that's just a false promise, kind of like, this isn't real. She's just trying to trick you. Like, there was a moment where he jumped inside of Etrigan's head to, like, stop him, because when the two of them were fighting. And he sees the history of him and, like, how he was betrayed by her as well many years ago. And it's sort of like that, him thinking about that and seeing that and then thinking about that is what made him change his mind, because otherwise it might seem like weird that he just suddenly changed his mind. But like, that was what I was kind of thinking, is that he was thinking, like, as he was handing it to her, he's like, wait, but like, I just saw like what happened to him years ago. Like, she's not gonna keep her word like that. So then he's just kind of like, but also it was that, but it was also him being like, no, like, that, you know, I have a family now, and it's, my family is the Justice League, you know. He even says that. He says, like, I realized, you know, I'm with my new family now, you know, or something like that. Loves guy looking for a new family, like Dom Toretto. Family. Remember all those memes?
I'm sorry, that went way over my head.
No, there was a bunch of memes from the Fast and Furious movies about him being like, it's all about family. There's a bunch of memes about it. Dom Toretto from Fast and Furious movies. I don't know. I never watched those movies.
I have no idea either.
But there was like a bunch of movies where they're like doing practically impossible things. And he's like, we could do anything with the power of family. Like, there's a bunch of memes like that.
With the power of friendship and this gun I found.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a scene where they're trying to get the Philosopher's Stone from the one guy, and he's a total perv.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
I was like, but like, Wonder Woman's playing into it just so she can like get him to show him the stone. But he like brings her to a room with a bed and everything, and I was just like, all right, this is a kid show. You gotta be careful here.
No fading to black right now.
And I'm like, what were my parents thinking whenever we watched this scene as a kid? Like, oh my gosh. And Flash just sees two girls playing in a pool, and he's just like, yep, I'm going over there. Cool, bro.
I still don't really like Flash in this.
I think he's fine. He's just Flash, you know. I don't know. I think he's fine
to me.
Yeah, I get it. But
whatever.
I'm fine with it. I mean, the thing is, I did grow up with this show, so to me, it's like that's the character kind of to me.
Right.
So yeah. We can move on to the next.
Mad about it.
Yeah. It's okay. Move on to the next episodes if you like.
Sure.
So next we have Metamorphosis Part 1 and 2, and I probably don't have to describe what that is because I think you know based on that. So yeah. These episodes, a guy is forced into being a test subject to become this thing that can sort of morph into anything, I guess.
Yeah. This one had a lot of layers, and I liked it. But then, I don't know. There's a few things that are just like, what?
I think the thing that annoyed me the most is that he's so quick to being like, I want to go kill Jon Stewart without ever like having a conversation with him, without ever like, I'm like, dude, this dude is supposedly like a really good friend of yours. You already know that this guy who's telling you this stuff is like not very trustworthy.
Yeah, it has
like you already know that. Yeah, you know that, and you're just gonna go, oh, he showed me these few pictures. I'm gonna go kill Jon Stewart. Like, I was like, what? Other than that, I think these episodes are fine. I like them fine. I mean, I don't know. I don't love them, but I like.
I don't know. I like the interesting thing between like him and Jon, and like his fiance, and how it's his boss's daughter, and like that whole thing like sparks it all and turning him into a superpowered person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I really like the concept of his powers as well, just being able to manipulate his matter however.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, he's got a cool power set. I mean, it's a little OP. Like, literally, people are just shooting him with bullets, and I was like, okay. I mean, I guess other heroes are like that too, but...
I really like the moment where he, like, grabbed Superman's arm and, like, turned himself into kryptonite, and it's like, oh,
he can do that. Like that was a moment where I was okay with Superman going down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Although, so I also found it strange. So I was like, okay, the first time Jon Stewart stopped by and met his fiance, she seemed a little flirty with him. Like, I was like, what? She's his...
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, it was weird. And then, like, the scene where she's like, help me find him or whatever. And she, like, kisses him on the cheek and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
a little too close for just being friends.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
Where I was... Where, and then at the end, she's like, I want to be with you and only you. I want to marry you and you're the best. Like, whatever. And I was like, do you, though? Do you really? I mean...
Now, hold on.
Like, or are you going to flirt with random guys? I mean, come on.
I get it. I have, however, met people who are like that and are just very open about that stuff.
Or just like, very flirty with everyone. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, like, no, there are people like that.
On one hand, it's like, yeah, no, some people are like that, so whatever. On the other hand, a lot of people aren't comfortable with that stuff.
Also, like, he should know that she's like that. So he should know, like, oh, her giving him a quick kiss on the cheek. Oh, that's just her. You know, whatever. Like, so you should see those pictures and be like, oh, that's just the way she is. Whatever. You know, like, he's getting married to her, so you'd assume he knows her pretty well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely get that part.
Yeah.
Oh, there was also at the very end, he turns himself into the thing that breaks him down in order to defeat, like, the Glob. Yeah. The Glob Dad.
Yeah, Glob Dad, yeah.
And then he just turns back just fine. It's like, what?
Yeah, I was a little bit like, how did he... no, he's just fine. I was like, okay.
It
seemed...
Like, it's nice and all, but why?
But it's such a cheap fake out. For a second, you're like, okay. Thought you were gone, but no. But whatever. I guess that means that him and his fiance can be happy together and blah, blah, blah. Despite the fact that he looks really fucked up. Although, could he just, like, can he technically, do you think he can, wow, I can't even think of what it's called right now.
Morph his matter back into a normal human being? Yeah, I definitely think he can do that, because, like, he can turn himself into anything else, so why not?
That's what I'm saying. Couldn't he make himself look, I was watching a video, like, talking about these episodes, and somebody was pointing out that this episode, there was a scene where he, like, first wakes up and he's like, what what's going on? And then he like looks in the mirror and he has this moment of like, no, like I'm ugly, whatever. And they played it next to the scene from Batman the Animated Series of that happening with Two-Face when he first becomes Two-Face. And he was just like, you're just like reusing the same scene basically. DCAU, like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh. But the one from Batman actually, I think, looked like, as from what I could tell in this video, looked like it was more well done.
Okay.
But I mean, Batman is just a really good show in general. So, and those were really good episodes. The Two-Face origin story episodes. There's like 2 of them. It's a 2-parter. It's really good. But anyways, yes, they fight Glob Dad. That's what he's called. He's just Glob Dad now.
Yeah. I made it up on the spot, and now it's a thing. I get it.
Superman tries to punch Glob Dad. Glob Dad punches Superman down. Superman's like, it's like punching dough, and you know, all that stuff. Yeah, her dad's a dick. I don't know if I have much more to say about it.
I mean, I really enjoyed it. There was he freezes Metamorphosis.
Oh, yeah.
And he just has a moment like all chemical reactions stop at sub-zero temperatures. And I don't know, I really liked that moment because it's like, they just created this guy's powers, established that they're super powerful, and then immediately created a foil for him.
Yeah, that was good. But then it's immediately followed by the villains being dumb and being like, yeah, let's just leave him somewhere where he'll melt instead of leaving him somewhere that'll keep him cold. Like, obviously, he's just going to melt and then be fine again. Like, you're dumb. Like, you're as dumb as your big dumb henchman that's literally the dumbest person I've ever seen in this show. Maybe not the dumbest, I don't know. Grundy might be dumber, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But they're basically the same, you know, same level of intelligence.
Same thing too. I think the moment that I saw it, my brain was like, Grunt? Wait, no, that's not Grundy.
It's like literally like Grundy, but just a regular human.
Yeah, no, just shorter.
But I'm like, you're really leaving these like chemicals in the hands of this idiot. Like,
he's trying his best. Don't make fun of him.
Like, he's loyal and everything. He's good. You know, tries his best, but like, you think you do it with somebody who's a little more smart. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. We need smarter villains. Come on, let's.
That's a trope in old cartoons, isn't it? Where the supervillain has like a really incompetent henchman. That's true. Man. Just like, why would you choose them?
Like, it's like the big dumb smart guy, or not? No, big dumb henchman. Yeah, I don't know. I said that wrong. And it's like, I guess it's because it's like they're dumb enough to like follow them, to be loyal. I guess. I don't know.
And also, them not being so bright makes it easy to create little gag moments of where their plan goes wrong.
Right, exactly. I don't know. But yeah, that suitcase that he was carrying was not sealed very, very well. It fell over and immediately opened up, and I was like, yeah, these dangerous chemicals, you're not gonna hold them in something a little more secure, you know? Okay. Just hold them like that, it's fine.
It's like the meme.
Yeah, I caused a train crash, but whatever. I don't know if I have much more to say about those episodes unless you do.
Yeah, not really. I do really like the whole like superpower set, and it is an interesting one, but meh. That's all I have to say. Yeah, no,
I like it. Generally. It's not my least favorite. I don't know what my least favorite episode is so far. Either Warworld or Fury. Honestly, those are probably my least favorites. Or Warworld and Fury. I don't know. Maybe Fury. I don't know. But I don't even like hate them necessarily. Well, I don't know. It's kind of iffy on him. So
Wow, harsh.
I don't know. It's iffy. But anyways, so moving on to the final 3 episodes, the Savage time.
Mm-hmm.
So I remembered these episodes a lot. These were very...
They're very unique, yeah.
Very big ones that I remember from as a kid. Also, just the fact that it's the season, finale that's like made it very memorable.
Honestly, the entire time we were watching them, I was just thinking, wow, it's really ballsy for a kid show to touch on World War II this heavily.
Yeah, and there's literally a shot showing Hitler in Justice League.
Multiple.
Frozen Hitler, but still Hitler.
Yep.
I think it's funny because I think that's the first time I ever found out who Hitler was and learned about World War II was from these episodes when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure. I remember watching it and I think somebody said oh yeah, that's Hitler. He was the guy who was actually in charge. My parents or somebody, I don't know, maybe who was actually in charge in real life or whatever, something like that. And I was I think that's watching these episodes is the first time I ever learned about World War II. I'm pretty sure, or much about it at least.
Huh. I've never thought of that before. Now I'm thinking what's my first experience with that? But I can't remember.
Yeah. So I think part of what they were trying to go for, and this might be, maybe they were going similarly to how the one episodes were trying to do an old school superhero style thing. I think these were in a way trying to do that too, because there was a time period in I guess more the golden age of superheroes, even before the cheesy age of the 60s superheroes, where it was a lot of superhero stories were war propaganda, where it was superheroes fighting in the war. During World War II. So I think they were maybe partially trying to go for that vibe in these episodes. Which is kind of cool, to see Superman fighting alongside World War II planes, airplanes and stuff, which is Flash running around saving injured soldiers. I don't know, that kind of thing. That kind of imagery is just very, makes sense for that time period of the 40s and stuff. Whenever when some of these characters were first created, actually,
I mean, I remember in class learning about World War II and seeing Donald Duck in anti-Nazi propaganda, and I was oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. They would
exactly
it'd be a kind of thing anything can be propaganda at this point because it dominates life at the moment.
Yeah, when they even decided to bring a character in that was from old Wonder Woman stories, I think too, because a lot of old Wonder Woman stories originated in World War II. The character of Steve Trevor that she met was from old comics, was a love interest in the old Wonder Woman comics. Obviously they did it differently now, where they weren't, she was from the future kind of thing. But and if you actually watch the live action Wonder Woman movie, takes place during World War II.
Oh.
And it's sort of she obviously, Wonder Woman lives for way longer than regular people, so she's still in years later, in our modern time, it still looks the same, but it's kind of her origin of when she first left the island and all that kind of stuff was during World War II, kind of, and it involved Steve Trevor, the same, technically the same character, I think. I'm pretty sure that's who it was in that movie. So that's kind of cool.
That gives context to that, because my brain was weren't they doing this whole thing of Batman and Wonder Woman, and now this is happening and it doesn't really make sense in my brain. But knowing that context, it's kind of oh, so it's an homage. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. And it's kind of a nice little moment to close the episode, was her going back to see him when he was old. It's kind of nice. He just sees her and he's just Angel. Now, I'm not a huge fan of time travel stories typically, but I think it's generally fine here. Like, I feel like it didn't confuse me too much.
Yeah, there wasn't really any confusion. It was just they went back in time, changed it, and they needed to go back in time and change it back. That's it.
And they had only 48 hours to do it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was kind of cool to see how Batman would be different if, that had happened, kind of like. But it's like, even in this version of Batman, his parents still died when he was a kid,
Yeah.
But like in a different way. And that's but he said, like, he says to Superman, he says to them, he's like, if you guys change the past, then maybe my parents wouldn't have died. And Superman goes, I can't make any promises.
Yeah.
Because Superman is the only one of the Justice League who knows who Batman is in this continuity at this point. And so he knows, like, oh, his parents are, Bruce Wayne's parents are dead. But he's just like, can't make any promises. I'm like, yeah, that's sad. It's actually interesting. So apparently, and I was watching a video about these episodes, like I said, apparently there was a shot where they were like in Batman's like base and he has his like resistance members, fighters and stuff.
Right.
And there was people walking in the background and it was like Dick Grayson there, Barbara Gordon, and like I think Tim Drake or something were like in the background. Like blink and you miss it kind of thing. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, I think they like looked like the versions of those characters that were in, because those characters were in Batman the Animated Series. But then
I think I know what moment you're talking about, because they like scroll past a bunch of stuff and there's like only 3 that don't have their helmets on in that whole thing.
Yeah, but it's like, because it's like Dick Grayson is there with Barbara Gordon like kissing her. I think there was like 2 people kissing. I think that was...
And then 1 or 2 smaller ones like run by with their helmets off.
Yeah, one of them was like, one of those I think was Tim Drake, who's obviously like would have been a younger Robin after Dick Grayson. Because like at this point in the story, Dick Grayson has already become Nightwing and stuff. So, but that's just a cool detail. Because like I don't know if those characters ever show up in the Justice League show ever. I don't. Maybe Robin shows up at one point. I don't think so, though. Not that I remember. Maybe in this or in Justice League Unlimited, I don't know. Obviously, they were in Batman, though. But yeah, anyways, that's just a cool detail. I don't know. It was kind of nice. I think it was cool that they tried to like sort of split all the characters up on their own little mini adventures, instead of just kind of having everybody in one place. It was kind of made it feel more like this big, wide-spanning war, which obviously it is because it's World War II. Mm-hmm. And sort of, but like all of them kind of converge into like the same plot too. It's like all of them end up being involved in the one way. Like Wonder Woman was helping the one guy with like the code thing,
right? Which
obviously ended up helping them find out that they were planning on attacking America. The Green Lantern's little mission was like ended up getting him to that airfield where they were leaving to attack America, and then the others were like with the people in the airplanes who ended up attacking, and John Jones was captured by him.
I really liked John Jones and the Green Lantern's stories, because John Jones was just basically like, he infiltrates, gets captured, goes to get interrogated, and it literally just cuts, and when they come back to it, he's just escaping disguised as the dude, and like did a complete reversal on him. Just like, yep, hell yeah.
Well, if you think about it, it's like, how would they be able to hold him? Like, even with modern technology, even though they have some modern technology that was sent back to the past, like, he can phase through things, right? So it's like, you don't need to see how he escaped. Like, it's pretty obvious how he escaped, right? Like, it's almost like one of those things where, like, maybe he stayed there for long enough just so he could figure out the villain's plan, then escape, you know?
Right,
like, maybe.
Right. Honestly, I really like that, what they did there. The problem I have is when they don't do that, and it's like he's captured and you don't know why he can't escape the entire time.
Yeah, you're like, oh, the villains have some sort of things that can't be phased through because of some weird science that's not explained.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then also Green Lantern's one where because at the beginning of these 3 episodes, he's towing the javelin, I think they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions that, like, oh, his ring is about to run out of juice, which, first of all, why didn't Superman push the javelin? Like, why does he have to do it when he has limited energy and Superman doesn't? It doesn't make any sense. But anyway.
But it's sort of like a nice little... It's like a good setup for later on. So, when like, when it
runs out of power and
does run out, yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like, his military training stuff without the ring.
Yeah, which is really cool. It's sort of like to show, like, to show what he can do by himself, which is really cool. And
yeah, that he doesn't need to rely on the ring.
Yeah, no, I really liked Jon Stewart's story. Wonder Woman's story is basically just she's helping this guy who is falling in love with her, and she's kind of falling for him too. That was her story.
Yeah.
Superman and Hawkgirl and the Flash, their story was just kind of they meet with the plane guys. Although there was that one thing that I really liked, that one scene I liked where, like, Flash was like, why did you leave GL behind and everything? And she's like, look around, and, like, it's like this big moment of, like, big moment for those characters. I feel like it was like kind of, but it's almost like interesting because it's like Hawkgirl, maybe you get the sense that maybe Hawkgirl has experienced war before, or like has more experience than Flash in that sense, kind of.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I know the planet she's from, they're like big warriors and stuff, so like that would kind of make sense. Whereas like Green Lantern, whereas Flash is just kind of more naive in that way because he's never fought in a war before. He's not, used to this kind of like sometimes you have to make sacrifices kind of thing.
Right.
So it was kind of like a nice little moment. But yeah, overall their side plot was it was okay. I mean, some of the stuff of them fighting in the with the airplanes and stuff was kind of cool.
I keep looking back on like the moment when they first arrive and Superman goes to punch one of the war wheels, and like he punches it in the glass, and it just, full hit marker, does absolutely nothing, and he's just completely useless. And I'm just like, why do you do this?
That's not. But like, Superman's stronger than that. Like, Superman's supposed to be stronger than this. Like, he's supposed to be the strongest of all of them, right?
He's like, super, make him super, bring back his super.
Hashtag bring back his Superman. Hashtag bring the super back to Superman. Yeah, it is. That does get a little annoying. Like, I don't know. I feel like Superman is just the most boring character in this season. I don't know. Like, they just don't do anything. It's like they just don't know how to use the character, I think, in this season.
Honestly, this entire time we should have just been calling him Man.
Man who can fly and is a little bit above average in strength.
Sometimes. Only sometimes.
Sometimes. Man who can fly and about as strong as the average dude who works out a lot. So lifts a lot of weights. He's been to the gym and he flies. That's Superman for you. Yeah, it is actually kind of laughable, like how much of it, how bad he is in some of these
So
episodes.
that gets fixed in the next season, right? Please.
Supposedly, I've heard. I've only seen the second season of this show like once. I'm pretty sure, like the whole thing through. So let's hope. Let's see. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, and then I guess how the episode concludes. I mean, they win. They beat the bad guys, and they can go back to their time. It was cool to see Jon Stewart like actually fight Vandal Savage hand to hand on there. His little mission jumping out actually on the thing. It was cool. Mm-hmm. So here's another thing. How much do you know about Vandal Savage, the character?
That is literally the first time I've ever seen him.
Ever heard of him? Okay. He pops up again. So you didn't realize? So one thing that might seem strange is he got all this stuff passed back to him from his future self.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't age.
He didn't age. Yeah. So that's very important to the character. The fact that he didn't age. So we'll get into it. He shows up again in the next season. So we'll talk more about that character. He is actually a pretty classic character, I think, from the comics. I don't know how classic he is, but like he's a pretty big character. So there's some interesting stories with him. So we'll talk about him more later. But yeah, I don't know what more to say. They come back. Superman hugs Batman. just it's nice.
Yeah.
Batman's like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, did I miss something? What's happening?
Did I miss something? Like, my parents are still dead. What's going on?
Yeah, he's just so like indifferent and awkward about it. Just like, I don't know how to respond to this. This isn't a thing that happens.
He's like, I just came here because I saw an anomaly that was from here, and I figured you'd be in this area. Like, what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm here, just as usual. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if I have much more to say. I'm definitely excited for season 2 because I feel like I'll be more surprised by season 2. Mm-hmm. Because season 1 I've watched a lot as a kid, a lot of times, so I knew a lot of these episodes. Some of them I didn't remember as much, but some of them I remembered at least something about all of them. I was looking ahead at some of the episode descriptions of season 2, and some of them I do not remember at all. So some of them I very, very vaguely remember. But
you'll finally be in about the same boat as me.
About, yeah, because I've seen them before.
I honestly have no idea if I've seen any of these.
You may have seen some. There are some specific moments from some of these episodes that I remember being really good, so I'm actually excited for it. So yeah, that's about all for that. So next week we are going to be talking about a movie. Last week we talked about a Batman movie, Mask of the Phantasm, and next week we're going to talk about a Superman movie. Maybe Superman will actually be cool in this. It's Superman. It's The Death of Superman is the movie. So, which is based on like a classic story from the comics.
Admittedly, the title does not give me hope that he will be cool.
Well, we'll see. Now, so I don't really know a lot about the story other than like he fights Doomsday and supposedly dies. Whether he actually dies or not, I will be determined. Will be determined. I mean, I cannot speak. So, well, I guess we'll find out what that movie's all about next week. I've never seen it, so yeah. And the week after that, we will start season 2 of the Justice League with the first probably 13 episodes. So, yeah. So anyways, thanks for listening to WABAN. You can find a new episode of WABAN every single Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time on many different platforms, including our YouTube channel, which is called WABAN. And there's a link in the description to that if you want to check that out. We have the podcast on there. We also have a bunch of gaming videos that we've been doing. So we've played through the Portal games, and I think those are about to finish up now. And then at some point, we might take a small break between that and our next game, but we will start playing Hollow Knight next. That's the next game on the agenda. But you could also listen to the podcast on a bunch of different audio platforms, including things like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Anchor and many others. And you could check out my YouTube channel, which is called Nim TV. That's NIMTV. There's a link in the description to that as well. So I should be doing a new video on there pretty soon as well about Batman, actually. So that's cool. All right. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode. I've been your host, Nim.
And I'm Cub.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.